I like to think he stands up and salutes when that comes on, or does a Billy Dainty-like walk to it. I'm sure he does. It is, of course, Mike Parry joining us now, live on lockdown. We speak to him every Wednesday at this time. Good afternoon, Mike.
Yeah, good afternoon, fellas. And it's a very, very appropriate anthem you've introduced me on. Not obviously because I'm an Evertonian, that's very well known, but because it's May, of course, every fan of every club everywhere is celebrating the great years of promotion, aren't they? Yeah. And, and winning trophies and all that, because it all happened in May. But it's been a pretty exceptional week for Everton. For instance, yesterday, we were commemorating Dixie Dean's 60 goals in 1928 to the day, a record that will never be beaten. And today is the anniversary of us winning the First Division title in 1985, which was then our eighth title. And that brilliant team that Howard Kendall put together, which, of course, won it again 2 years later in 87. So glorious years passed, but, still waiting for the good days to come back. And in Carlo, we believe.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, so funnily enough, Andy Gray just put a thing on Instagram, Mike, saying that there were 50,000 people at Goodison that day. He's put a picture up of people crammed in on the fences, on the clock. You probably remember it really well.
Yeah, I remember it terribly well. I wasn't there for that game because we beat QPR, and I couldn't get up there because I was such a hot shot in Fleet Street in those days. The Daily Express couldn't let me go, you know what I mean? However, I did the deal to go to Rotterdam the middle of the next week, where we won the European Cup Winners' Cup, which was historic for us, first European trophy. Came back and went to the FA Cup final on the Saturday when we should have recorded an historic treble. But we got beaten in extra time 1-0 after Kevin Moran had got sent off. And Norman Whiteside, and I have this debate with him every time I see him or talk to him, was so knackered that he flung over a cross in despair towards the end of the game. And guess what? It evaded the world's greatest goalkeeper, Neville Southall, went in, and Manchester United won 1-0.
Mike, I was just looking up Dixie Dean's record there. As you're right, you said 60 league goals. Yeah. Three in the cup, which gave him a season total of 63. Obviously, I can do the maths. That same season, 27-28, Celtic's Jimmy McGrory only scored 48 in the league, but with his other goals, he also scored 63 goals that season in one of the chances in the same season.
Oh, absolutely incredible. And the other great statistic is that Dixie, in the last game, an evening game against Arsenal, he had to score 3 to get to 60, okay? And what nobody ever points out is that the pressure was on Dixie because the previous season, a guy called George Camsell, who was centre forward for Middlesbrough, had scored 59 goals. An English all-time record, albeit in the second division, but nevertheless, 59 goals. Dixie scored with 14 minutes to go. His third goal against Arsenal, a header, to clinch the record, which, of course, will never be beaten. And my grandfather was in the ground and watched that historic moment.
What about that? Fantastic. Because we've often said our old mate Chessie, Lisa Francesca Nand, her nan was at Dixie Dean's 21st birthday party. I think that's one of the great footballing claims to fame, that is. Yeah,
well, that would have been somewhere in Prenton, near to Tranmere's ground, Prenton Park, because that's where Dixie started his football career. That's where my mum and dad grew up. My dad grew up in the same street as Dixie Dean, and my dad's father, my grandfather, was one of Dixie Dean's best mates. And in 1933, Everton won the FA Cup. We beat Manchester City. Dean, Steen and Dunn scored the 3 goals. 3 weeks later, Dixie went back to Wembley to play for England against France, beat France 3-0. He scored again. But on the Sunday morning after that game, my father was dispatched to Hamilton Square in Birkenhead to find both his father and Dixie Dean, who were face down on the pavement outside a pub in Hamilton Square, having come back together from the England-France game and drunk all night in the pub in Birkenhead.
What about that? Now, look, we know you're very keen to meet a fellow Evertonian who is in your favourite TV series at the moment. Tell us more.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible, isn't it? I'm just catching up on Killing Eve, okay?
Yeah.
And the character, it is utterly brilliant. And the character is Villanelle. And I just so love the way that she has this smirk on her face all the time, disapproves of everybody. Brilliant Russian accent, because, of course, she plays the role of a Russian hit woman. And I saw the second episode, or might have been the third, of the current series. And she was in a swanky hotel playing piano. A woman came along and asked her if she could sort of quiet it down a bit. So Villanelle went and found her and killed her by throwing a piano tuning fork into the back of her head. And you get this impression with, well, don't mess with that woman, you know what I mean? I think she's fantastic, but the real story that you're talking about here is, if you listen to her speak at award ceremonies, she's from Liverpool, like, you know what I mean? Like, thank you very much indeed for that award, thank you for this, and that. It doesn't suit her at all, because she's Villanelle, but...
It doesn't suit her at all.
Honestly, it broke my heart when I saw her speaking with a Scouse accent. But she's an Evertonian, and though I've always claimed that I've never ever tried to claim favours off anybody at Everton, I always am happy to admit that I'm a friend of Mr. Ken Rice, the chairman of Everton Football Club. Believe me, my application and request is in the post to sit next to Villanelle, the world's greatest female killer. Next time she's at Goodison, I want to be there with her.
The trouble is, Mike, having now said you don't like her Scouse accent, you might find an elaborate, inventive way to kill you. But I was reading about it today, though, Mike. It's very interesting. It's in today's Times. The writers of the show, Phoebe Waller-Bridge and others, went to an expert. They went to a BBC security expert and said, "Can you give us your top 10, 50 ingenious ways to kill people?" And he did actually go back, and the tie in the elevator that pops up in the second series when the old businessman, the needle of poison, brilliant. And all sorts of different ways. This was somebody who kind of knew their stuff, gave them all the ingenious ways to do it, maybe including the tuning fork in the back of the head. So
that's right. I love the lift one when she taunted the bloke and then pulled his tie out as the lift closed, and then he crushed him to death in the lift. Yeah. But the one that I really liked was when she pretended to be just a maid in the hotel and went in and told some famous woman how much she liked her, and she bought her a special bottle of perfume. Problem was, it was cyanide, and as soon as she opened it, the woman was dead. I just love the way she so nonchalantly kills people, and the cops never turn up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just brilliant and wonderful, and I just hope it goes on forever, but I've got to meet her. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Make that happen. Can we move on to fish fingers, more pressing matters? You're a big fan of the fish finger, Mike. Remind us about your fish finger tower. What was all that about? It was like a game of fish finger Jenga, wasn't it?
No, this is the fish finger pyramid. It's very famous.
Oh, pyramid, right. Okay.
Yeah, and I've made a video of it and how you make it. I mean, it's quite simple. What you do is you build from a base of 6 fish fingers, and you build them inwards. The reason it's called a pyramid, it looks like a pyramid, okay?
Yeah.
And
why'd you do that, Mike? Why do you make a fish finger pyramid?
The reason I did it was because a lot of people thought I was a moron. In terms,
they get that idea.
Exactly. No, in terms of my cuisine, not a lot in any other terms. I mean, everybody knows that I know, a lot of things about a lot of things, but no, they accuse me of being cuisine-wise a bit of a moron. Well, I don't care, because I love fish fingers. Yeah. So I decided, okay, if you don't like me eating fish fingers, I'll make them more exotic. Yeah. And I make them more exotic by building pyramids. And what you do is you put mushy peas in the middle of the pyramid. You see what I mean?
Wow.
And then you eat
cement.
No. Just to make it like a spectacular sort of pouring out of mushy peas when you break through the last layer of the pyramid. It's
more like a mushy pea. It's like a fish finger volcano, really, isn't it? If the mushy peas then come over the top. I can't believe I'm buying into this.
Yeah. I mean, if I can make a reference to one of the famous expressions from the Prime Minister, it is like an inverted pyramid of peas, if you see what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been picked up many, many times. And actually, funnily enough, when being smarter than the average bear, I saw lockdown coming, right? So I went out and I bought 200 fish fingers. the day before lockdown. The thing is that the shopping crisis never really happened, and I've still got them in 2 freezers. So I'm gonna have to make quite a lot of fish finger pyramids quite soon, because
they are very popular though. They're the kind of comfort food that people have been eating a lot of. Mr. Kipling cakes, apparently. People are going back. Right. They're remembering the comfort food they had as kids when they weren't in lockdown. These sort of things are selling well. Anyway, I want to move on to your mushrooms, Mike. You've been growing mushrooms on your balcony.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've got a very nice roof balcony, even though I live in a penthouse, right? Yeah. And for some time now, I've been growing potatoes in a potato bag, right? And lettuce. You can grow little lettuces. These are all in sort of various sort of bowls and boxes and things around my roof garden, you know. And mint and basil. But I came across an advert for the Belgian mushroom plant, okay?
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know existed. So I bought... No. So I bought one, and I planted it, and amazingly, sort of almost overnight, it flowered, and then I put a picture of it out. You've probably seen it. I put a picture of it out this morning. It's on my timeline. Have a look at it.
Yeah.
And it honestly produces the nicest mushrooms I've ever seen. They're perfectly shaped. They taste wonderful. You just pick them off literally the stalks that they grow up on. And the reason it works is because Belgium, as you well know, is part of the Netherlands, which means the lowlands in Belgium. And the soil there is always too wet to grow mushrooms in the ground like they do everywhere else. So they grew them on a plant, and that's the plant that I've got in my back garden. And I've had these mushrooms with steak and you know things like that, and they're fantastic. Honestly, I couldn't have made a better choice.
We were wondering though, Mike, whether, having heard some of your theories about wing mirrors on horses and the 100 metres in 1 second, whether these were of the magic variety. We know you're a big Beatles fan, so I just knowing you were on the mushrooms wasn't a massive surprise to me.
No, listen, that's a very good question. And I tell you what. One of my life ambitions, because, one of these days the old ticker's going to give up. One of my life ambitions is to get over to Amsterdam, particularly as I'm now watching Van der Valk again.
Where's this going, I wonder?
Yeah. One of my ambitions is to get over to Amsterdam, get in one of those coffee shops that sell funny facts and magic mushrooms, and just do a day on the magic mushrooms on the funny facts and see what happens.
Well, I'm definitely record it.
I pay a lot of money to be there, to be honest.
Mike, we'll catch up with you next week. Keep safe.
Okay, fellas, take it easy. Thanks.
There we are. Mike Parry there. I'm absolutely exhausted after that. Very quickly, Andy.
Just very quickly, Everton's Mike's club. Very good news. This the film Howard's Way, which came out all about Howard Kendall. Mike mentioned the team there. Yeah, they donated all the profits from the film to a project that Everton are doing called the People's Place. It's a facility for people who have mental health issues, and basically, if anybody wants to go and watch it on Sky or sort of any money that's raised from that will go to the charity. So it's a very nice thing, because it was I've got a link to the film, so I'm going to have a look at it. I didn't see it. I think you were away when
I was away. But I'm aware of it.
Rob Sloman came in and talked about it.
I saw a fair bit of Everton at that time with a mate of mine who lived there, so I will reflect on that. I'll go and watch it, and that's fantastic. Anyway, it's Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Lots more to come this afternoon.